Alright everybody, judging by the main title in the video, I've got a big announcement to make. I am going to be standing as the main candidate for the Scottish Libertarian Party, which is a small but growing political party in Scotland dedicated to defending your individual liberties and freedoms for both the Dumbarton constituency as well as the West Scotland region. And yes, according to the Electoral Commission, you are allowed as a candidate to stand for both a constituency and a region. Now, the 7 main priorities I will be standing on as a candidate if I were to become MSP are as follows. The first priority will be very obvious. These lockdowns that are draconian and authoritarian in nature need to be ended. The PCR tests are not that reliable, contact tracing is absolutely pointless along with social distancing and the mandatory wearing of face masks. If any country in the world has shown itself to have done much more better than any other in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic, it has been none other than Sweden. If we just allow ourselves to get on with our lives, and if the vulnerable could be asked to just shield themselves away and not go out the house unless it's necessary, albeit their choice needs to be upheld as well, then the cost to both the economy as well as lives from people who cannot handle the insidious continuation of the lockdown wouldn't have been so inevitable. And it's important as a result of the lockdowns, with governments trying to take away every single bit of our basic freedoms and liberties as possible. I mean, lockdowns have just shown that any government of any kind can take away your basic freedoms and liberties on whatever excuse, anytime they want to, including the right to protest. This also includes, sadly, as is coming down the line, the right to free medical choice. If you are to personally decline taking any kind of vaccine as well as not wanting to wear any kind of face masks, you therefore face the punishment of the law, including particularly by the police. And this is why voluntary choice, especially voluntary medical choice, needs to be upheld. If you want to wear a face mask, that's fine by me. Please go ahead and do that. If you want to wear gloves as well as a face mask, as well as maybe even a hazmat suit, then feel free, go ahead. But you must understand, both our ideas and our choices cannot be immune from ridicule and criticism. And that is why, if elected as the main MSP for either Dumbarton constituency or even the West Scotland region, I will fully protect your medical rights as well as voluntary choice regarding lockdowns, and the lockdowns I will seek to therefore end and repeal the Coronavirus Acts or even greatly amend them at best, so that therefore your rights to freedom and liberty must be completely stood up for. The second priority for me, if I'm elected as the MSP for Dumbarton constituency, the West Scotland region, is to stand for Scottish independence. Now, I voted yes in 2014 along with my mother, and we were proud to have done so, being amongst the 45% that voted in favour of leaving the UK. I also was proud to have attended the 2019 On the One Banner May the 4th Glasgow protest, as well as a small march that took place in mid-November 2014 from Dumbarton Castle all the way through the town to Posties Park. But as I voted leave in 2016, I am also the kind of person that will stand up for independence from the bottom up both ways. If independent individuals can therefore create independent families and therefore independent societies that ideally are good enough to be resilient to the government-controlled financial system, can therefore help to make a free independent country. And by independence both ways, I really mean not just from Westminster but from the European Union. I will also not hesitate to take part in helping to write a new constitution for the new independent Scotland. At the moment we only have unwritten constitution in the UK which claims to stand up for your rights, but unfortunately, as is proven in recent times, the government can take it away any which way they possibly can. And the new constitution, just like the 1791 ratified Bill of Rights, as I've got in the background, albeit with new amendments to avoid any kind of mistakes as shown in the past, will fully uphold your right as an individual, and government shall therefore no longer interfere with your life. That is the kind of Scotland I will stand up for. Priority number 3 I have got on the list, as if I am elected as your MSP, will be to fully protect freedom of speech. Sadly, the Scottish Government, led by Nicola Sturgeon, has helped to pass the controversial Hate Crime and Public Order Scotland Act by the vote of 82 MSPs, not just from the SNP, but from the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, as well as the Scottish Green Party, with only the Conservative Party voting by 31 to oppose it, with 27 abstaining from the vote. This bill will seek to criminalise what you say in your own home, particularly if any speech, therefore, is aimed, even in the tone of humorous jokes, at somebody who happens to be a so-called protected characteristic. Now, me as a person, I've had the protected characteristic of somebody who tends to be disabled. I've high functioning autism. Now, if according to this bill, to this act, I therefore perceive what somebody has to say about not just myself, but somebody else, as therefore being hateful or stirring up hatred, this would mean that the person telling this kind of joke or any other form of harmless speech in any form of debate would be seen or perceived to be as stirring up hatred, and can have their door knocked down so they can be arrested by the police and charged with any offence under this act. And so if I get elected as the main MSP for the Dumbarton constituency of the West Scotland region, I will not hesitate to put forward a bill to fully repeal this Hate Crime Act, just like what has happened in recent years with the Offensive Behaviour at Football Act, as well as the Named Person scheme. Over the years, there's been a creeping in of political correctness, whether it be from some forms of the political right, as well as mainly nowadays from the mainstream political left, to censor and silence people and silence any form of debate. I will be amongst those that will make sure that debate is free and therefore must be upheld instead of silenced. Priority number 4, if I'm elected as your MSP, will be to end the pointless war on drugs. Yes, I know drugs including cocaine, heroin, as well as ecstasy and crystal meth are absolutely bad, but then again, so are the laws. I mean, have the laws actually stopped people from going on taking up bad drug habits? No, unfortunately they haven't. So therefore, these laws need to be completely scrapped. And if elected, I will also help to make sure that rehabilitation centres will be put in place, so that anybody treating themselves for bad drug addictions need to be treated as if they have a problem, as if they are a bad patient with drug problems, not as a criminal. Yes, if they go out and they attack somebody or they vandalise property, then yes, the existing laws should apply. But ultimately, as with any kind of medicine or food or drink, it's your body, your choice at the end of the day. Portugal set a good example with ending the war on drugs, and therefore so should we, especially ending the war on cannabis, in which this drug itself is actually in recent years showing itself to actually be genuinely progressive in the medical field, helps to treat cancer as well as anxiety. So therefore I will not hesitate to make sure that the criminalisation around cannabis will be completely ended as well. Priority number 5, if I'm elected as your MSP, will be to ultimately protect the free market. Now, there is a good free market out there to an extent, but with so much bureaucracy put on over the years, it is becoming anything but a free market. Big corporations absolutely love the regulations in place put in by the state, so therefore they can outcompete other people, including smaller businesses, and kick them out of the market. So ultimately, as I've said earlier with ending lockdowns, I will stand up for the rights of small businesses, and will also make sure that no business, no matter how big or small, should try and receive any kind of subsidy, so therefore corporate welfare will also be stood up against. There also needs to be an open discussion in the Scottish Parliament about the practice of central banking, especially if we need to discuss this in the case of an independent Scotland. It's clear that the current system of printing money out of thin air has only led to more and more soaring public debt, and therefore each and every one of us owes more than just about £75,000 to the government that we need to pay back in our own lifetimes. So therefore, a new system outside of a central bank with money based on actual value needs to be put into the public sphere, including via discussions in the Scottish Parliament. Priority number 6 for me as the main MSP, if elected, will be to fully scrap the TV licence. Over the years, the media has completely become too biased. I mean, it's no surprise, really, when you think about whether it be the Scottish or the British press as a whole. And it's clear to us that the TV licence has become a complete waste of time. There's a campaign underway and has been in place over the years to fully scrap the TV licence. No one should deserve to therefore have any goon of any kind, whether it be from private companies or even from the police, visit their door simply because they don't have a licence to own a television or even watch live TV. So therefore the media, including the BBC and Channel 4 and many others, should be privatised in order to compete with each other in the marketplace, including with the alternative media. The alternative media is helping gradually over time to outcompete the traditional mainstream media outlets, and people should be allowed the choice of whatever media outlet they choose to go through, they choose to tune into, and therefore free debate with the free media should be compatible with a free society. Even if we got independence in the newly formed Scottish Republic, it is highly important that the media has to still be privatised and compete with each other, not have state-run media, which will end up wasting your taxpaying money as per usual, as we have seen with the likes of the BBC and Channel 4. And finally, priority number 7, as part of the main priorities I will be standing for as the main candidate for the Dumbarton constituency and the West Scotland region, will be to uphold your right to freedom of privacy. Over the years, after certain events have happened, government has felt the need more and more to snoop on your private life for whichever pretense they have, and sooner or later, if we let this continue, we will be in a society that George Orwell would be absolutely wincing at. So I will be standing up for your right to freedom of privacy, and we need to make sure the government ultimately stays on a leash. So please don't hesitate to register to vote before the 6th of April 2021 for postal votes, as well as before the 19th of April 2021 for the main ballot votes. So if you think I am worthy as the main MSP for either the Dumbarton constituency or the West Scotland region, please don't hesitate to come out and vote for me, and hopefully you'll be seeing me in some upcoming hustings and debates. Oh, and before I go, I just want to discuss one more thing, which I will be standing for as a candidate for the Dumbarton and West Scotland region. Even though foreign policy is not really a devolved issue to the Scottish Parliament, I will not hesitate to be one of those candidates who will, frankly, discuss the bad actions of the militaries of the UK, US and NATO governments' involvement in the Middle East since 2001. If we are to become an independent Scotland, I will also not hesitate to call out the absolutely senseless, endless wars that have been going on in the Middle East, and also new attempts to try and build up wars with the likes of Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, Venezuela, etc. So even if I'm going to get called all the usual buzzwords and nicknames like Putin's puppet, Russian bot, or Iranian puppet, or Maduro's sidekick, or whatever, I will not hesitate to stand on principle to say that war, especially outward war, is absolutely and morally wrong. It is morally wrong. It has cost lives. It has only helped to create more terrorists, especially in the Middle East. And it's high time we got out of those countries and stopped the bad wars. Peace out, everyone. Sour Alba.